Straight off the cuff.
I don't think we've ever gone straight, man. You forgot
We're here.
The intro screen. What's up, YouTube?
It's been a while since we've been live, but this is a really special one.
All right, tank is in.
Yes.
Stand is in.
Woo!
And Sump is more or less in.
It's more or less in.
It's not on its stand yet.
You'll find out what needs to be done with it probably for next week's episode, but...
Yeah, so today you'll find out Randy made it look like he actually broke the tank.
There is a shot that looks like something bad happened, but I assure you it didn't.
All right, so we had to tear out the door. We had to tear out the fence. We had to bring a 1,200-pound tank down a hill. We had to tear out some trim. We got all this stuff, man. You got pictures of it all, some video and stuff you'll be able to share today.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering what goes into bringing in a giant tank into your house, you will get to see it today.
Today it happens. The 360's in. Yeah,
All right.
It was fun.
When was the last episode of this?
Almost Christmas time or so. So there's been a little stall, a little bit of lull in the project.
Yeah, you'll hear about that a little bit too.
It's hard to move a tank in the wintertime, though. To get somebody to agree to that.
All kinds of reasons. So today, reboot time, man. I think we're going to change up the 360 a little bit. And first point, I'm not going to call it the BRStv anymore, or 360.
Yeah.
This is my own tank. This is going in my own house. It's like a little personal journey for me. I actually changed my Facebook thing to a page so more people can follow it. So if you want to see all the little nitty gritties of it, you can go ahead and follow my page if you want.
But you're not calling it Ryan's 360 either, because it's hard for you to talk about yourself in the third person.
Yeah,
but it is your approach to what all of this stuff that you learned in reefing, how you're going to apply it in your own home.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those things too, where it's do what I say, not what I do a little bit. Sometimes you just got to cut some corners, right? So it's my own personal take, my own house. It's I'm not BRStv approved, whatever. Just when it comes down to it, when I'm making decisions for a tank that's going in my house, where I have to see it every day, and my family's gonna tell me I'm a loser or I'm a winner. I don't know, Dad, my son's gonna look up to me and Daddy, that's awesome, or that sucks. These are just decisions I'm gonna make for myself. And everybody that comes over to my house. So you get to see all the decisions along the way here, and all of the episodes in this one are going to be live.
Yeah, it's really awesome. It gives us a chance to get the real nitty gritty, not scripted version of what's going on. I chose alkalinity and calcium with this and that, and the scripted format. Now you get, sometimes there's a profanity now and then, but a lot of times it's the real deal challenges. Like today, we're going to talk about some things like how hard it is to get 1,200 pounds and what broke and what didn't break. The door frame coming apart, lots of other things that we ran into. Best part is we got pictures and videos of it all too.
I know there must be 40 of them there. So here's the deal. Live, I just don't get to craft the message quite as well, which means it just comes out raw. Yeah. Right? And sometimes I get to say stuff I just wouldn't other say, and once it's out there, too bad. It's already in the universe. Maybe some vendor got mad, I don't know, whatever. Yeah. But we're just going to share it to you. So that's what we're going to do from now on. Every week we'll probably share what happened in the last week, challenges we ran into, how we got around it, and decisions, man, that I made. Some of them good, some of them you're going to definitely scold me on, but I'm going to share the whole thing. I don't care.
So it's like a video vlog type build thread, but learning from you, everybody's learned from you, I've learned from you about in your scripted format and stuff. So there's probably going to be some nuggets here and there that apply to a lot of people out there too.
Well, I don't know. I'm finding it interesting myself.
Yeah,
just what am I going to do about this HVAC thing? Yeah. What am I going to do with the floors? What am I going to do with this sink? I don't know. So all the stuff, nitty gritty. How am I going to manage water? I had no idea how terrible well water was.
Especially yours.
Well, we get a lot of questions. Do I really need an RO system if I have well water? The presumption that it's better.
Yeah. Not according to your report.
I don't know. Maybe sometimes it is, but definitely not my case. All right. So I got some notes here. I think we'll just jump in, man. The tank, the stand, and everything. They've been sitting here forever. And I'll give you a little bit rundown on the tanks and stuff. I'll show you some pictures of it, and then we'll go through the steps of what it took to actually get this thing in place. Yeah. All right. So let's see that first one. All right, so this is the tank product in its home.
Look at that.
The stand. My wife actually told me she wasn't really sure about this huge tank going in the house. Right. She saw the stand and she's like, Ryan, I'm so happy. And I'm like, oh my God, that makes me so happy.
There you go. Chris Benner. Kudos to Chris Benner.
Yeah,
Look at
it
that.
matches all of the woodworking stuff in the house. You'll see it in just a second. The tank is super awesome. It's the perfect size, everything that I was looking for. And, you know, you can see in the dimensions here, you won't be able to see it right away, but you'll see it later as we go on. But this is 66.5 inches, like 5.5 feet long. It's 26.5 inches tall and 47 inches wide. It's kind of approaching the sides of two 180s back to back.
Almost, yeah.
So, you know, for me, this is just a super, super awesome size. I like the depth. I'm going to be able to like get into the tank. We're going to be able to go back to, or I like the depth in this thing so I can be able to get fish that are just not one-dimensional, going back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
Going all the way.
Well, you think about it, like that 47-inch end pane is basically like your standard 4-foot tank almost. And that mean, I mean, if you have a rectangular 24 by 48-inch tank, you know that a majority of your swim space and your viewing pane is that you have it on one end. So that back and forth depth, that front to back depth, even the up and down on 26.
Okay.
It's solid.
If you go ask everybody though, like most people will tell you, even at 30 inches front to back, like I can't get my arm in there anymore.
Yeah.
And so like when I was really designing this, I'm like, man, I want so bad to be deep, but I also don't want to be regretting it. Like, oh, I hate cleaning this thing, and so it looks like crap all the time.
Right.
So I really, really, really wanted that, and that's where I started thinking about the peninsula and the effect of being able to get into it from both sides.
Yeah.
Right. Also, the reason that it's 5.5 feet is I don't know what I'm gonna light the thing with, but I wanted to leave the option for 5-foot T5 tubes. So 6 feet gets kind of dim, and I need room for 5 feet. I need a couple inches to be able to get inside the hood and whatnot. So I don't know if I'm going to do that or not, but I wanted to leave room for it. And the 6 inches between the going all the way to 6 feet didn't matter. And actually, it's ended up being perfect size for the room too.
Well, and the viewing height too. The tank's only 26.5 inches tall, but it's really the stand that makes the whole viewing height because that's a really. And we'll talk about the dimensions of the stand here in a bit too, but that's a really tall stand considerably, and probably taller than this 160 here, which puts everything right at eye level. A little bit of a down for you because you're taller, a little bit of a slope. But like for me, my head reaches right at the top of the tank, so I get a straight on view through.
So I can walk up, look at the tank, and enjoy it. See it from a little bit from the top so I can see all the colors, but I'm not doing one of these. You know? And so I really enjoy it. Also, I mean, I just really, really happy with how the whole thing came out. And I really wanted to go 30 inches tall. And Felix just wouldn't let me do it. In the end of the day,
the glass.
And he'd have to reinforce it too much to get that high. But also, the moment that I went in and stuck my arm in and tried to hit the middle of it, I realized that 26.5 allows me to touch the middle of the tank from any
from
side.
One side.
This was the perfect height.
Yeah.
And so I'm super glad I didn't get the other few inches in there.
Well, he uses that really special glass,
the German, Belgium Diamante
glass. So
he says it comes in these vacuum sealed metallic pouches. Like you open it up and you can smell Belgian
air.
All right, let's see the glass then. So you can see it here, and you have to forgive me. This is just all iPhone footage, so I do the best I can. But you can see, man, this is all just super crystal clear glass, and how well the tank is constructed. All the seams are awesome. It's got the
those armored seams.
Armored seams. You can't see it in the corner here, but all of the seams are all black. They're nice looking. And one of the things he said is funny. He's like, I used even the Diamante glass for the trim here.
For the
it's
Euro
like
brace?
Ice cubes on the Euro brace. He could say, and it is like ice cubes.
That's awesome.
It is awesome, man. So every element of it, and again, you can see the little bit of the color in the glass from the side when you have to look through 4 feet of it. But you can see immediately it changes. It's so clear. So that's the benefit of that super low iron glass, is you don't have to see all that blue color, greenish color to the tank.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, the armored seam idea is, so many times with off the shelf tanks and whatnot. I worry so much. I'm using my scraping blade and might even get a razor blade every now and then. You worry about smashing into that silicone for 5, 10, 15 years or however, and what that does to the integrity of the silicone. So that strip, is it a strip of additional glass, or is it like ABS black? that armors that seam.
Another strip of glass. I'm not sure, or maybe acrylic. I don't know. I think it's glass. So down the side of it, and then so you can't mess it up.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just the way to go. So, and especially if you're like me, and I just like I'm not careful.
Yeah.
I'm too busy.
Well, and those black edges too, and that's one thing I just like about having black edges in general. And you can see like top, side, and bottom. It gives it, you know, it frames each pane like, you know, piece of art in your helm, and this looks like a picture on this side, and it's framed in black, and then the other sides, it's framed in black, and, you know, with your coral idea and the way you're going to place some corals in there, it kind of gives a picture of each coral type or whatever aquascape you're going with.
Yeah, so the overflow there, Dave, maybe we can go to the next frame here. So this is a shot of the overflow. So if you can see there, it's actually cut out in the glass, and they use a wazer. Which is like a water jet to cut out the lip for the weir there. And then we have the external box. And the reason I went external is because I want to be able to push this tank all the way up to the wall, and there's studs there. I just didn't want to cut out and go around. And so you'll see in a minute like how I'm going to deal with covering this up. And I don't want a box in my tank.
Yeah.
I just don't.
No.
It messes up the flow. It just messes up all the cleanliness of the tank. So I just don't want an internal box. And then I think you can actually see in the next shot here, well, maybe not this one.
I'll go to that unnamed one, Dave.
Yeah, that unnamed one
there
down
you
there.
go.
So you can start to see that's what the weir looks like. And so it's just a nice, slick piece of the back, you know, and like you just can't see it. You know, you can see how he cut out, it's the ABS back, cut out a little rim for all the bulkheads that I'll be using.
For the flanges, yeah.
Yep. Is there another shot here? The next one? Yeah, there we go. And so, yeah, you can see now like the width of the tank and how you got the 3 different viewing angles and how the ABS sheet on the bottom and the back and the black would give it a super high contrast look. I still haven't decided sand or no sand.
Yeah.
I decide every day.
You're good. Yeah. I mean, black sand came across your desk.
Yeah.
White mix kind of came across your desk.
Black's out. I was almost going to do it, and then you know, I talked to some people who had done it, and then they're like, "That's a terrible idea." So, I saw there were big grains though when I was picking orders the other day, and I'm like, "Oh, what about this?"
Yeah.
I don't know. So what's the next one here?
Well, this one showcases that you see 4.
Oh, go ahead. Go back.
Go back one. So you see there's 4 holes there, and you only have 2 returns, which means what are we using those other holes for?
So yeah, there's 2 holes in the bottom. I'll show you later, but it's going to be the closed loop for a UV, and that'll allow me to control the flow there. And you'll hear why I'm going to go UV. It's a little different than some of the things that you guys probably talked about before, but and why I'm going to do it that way. But that will be coming up in the future. But yeah, there's 4 holes back there, 2 of them in the middle. I know in the middle looks a little scary, but we'll be doing it well. All right, so the next one there. All right, so yeah, so those of you who don't know, if you didn't watch this thing before, you know what? Like I've been working with Felix for a long time. He says, made with love and care for Ryan and his family. And so the thing here, man, was I talked to Felix, and for those of you who don't know, when we wanted to upgrade the tank, like in the 40 breeder, like a million years ago, I asked around and like, who builds the best tanks? I mean, I'd never even heard of Felix, you know, and they told me Felix. I'm like, all right, call up Felix. I love the guy who's really awesome, easy to work with. It's been a really long journey with Felix all these years. And then when he heard when I was building a tank, he told his wife, man, if Ryan ever makes a tank, like, we're going to make this thing for him and give it to him. So it was actually a gift from him, and so thank you very much, man. So that was just super near and dear to my heart. So especially seeing the little message.
In the back. It'll live there forever.
Yeah, that's, I don't know, man. It's like really a completion of a journey. You know, they call it the 360, man. I feel like we're just kind of things come around. So. I don't know. That's awesome. All right. So is that the whole tank here? I mean, we got a whole bunch of notes down here. I think that's about most of it. So we're going to move on to the stand here. And so the stand has like all kinds of options, man. First, it matches the room. So is there a shot of the whole room here? I think there is one. It's terrible. And next one?
It's a little walk around.
No, there was like... I don't know what. I must have lost it somewhere in there. All right. Well, anyway, so if you see the whole room, all the cabinetry actually looks just like this. And so what I did is send him a picture of the cabinet, or not a picture of the cabinet. I sent him an actual door.
Yeah,
of my
a
cabinet.
panel off of your little kitchen type bar area.
Yeah,
down
so
there.
if you go to my Facebook later, I'll upload a picture so you can see how well it matches the whole room because it's unbelievable.
It's perfect.
It looks like the whole
It's
room was made
identical.
around it. And he's
Yeah.
never even been to my house.
Well, not only just what's the type of wood?
Naughty Elder.
Yeah, and not only the naughty elder and the stain matches perfectly, but even just the way that, you know, the molding on the cabinets and the molding on your tank stand and stuff, all of them, same, you know, ridge lines, molding lines, everything. It just looks like it was meant to be in there.
Yeah, it's super, super awesome. And then what else? Oh, yeah, so there's a little shot of the level there. I think there was one. So next, maybe one of these shots here. Not that one. Well, hey, we'll just follow this one here. So, oh, no. Next one. Okay, so again, you can see like how well this whole thing looks. And then this is the big reveal, right? The stairs. So when I want to go this big, I need to be able to get up into the tank and clean it.
If you can't do maintenance on it, you're not going to do maintenance on it.
Yeah, and so we pulled out he found these stairs that allows you to access it from each side. And so that's kind of like the big reveal here.
Look at that.
You get to see them from all three sides. And what I also found is that means my kids get to walk up that and they can see in the glass. You know, he's only 4, my son, and my daughter's like 2. So they get to crawl up there and be able to see everything. They've already figured out how to open it and close it.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, so it's super awesome. I mean, like once you see these stairs and how slick they are and how they fold away like that, I don't know how. I think he's going to get like 8 million, requests for this. So it's Chris Benner at Benner's Woodworking Sticks and Stone Stands. So you can go ahead and check him out. And then I think maybe the next shot here is, I don't know if this is the one with the level in it or not. But
it's a video.
I was super lucky. He told me that I should make sure the whole thing, if it's not level, just leave it because the stand is kind of hard to deal with. Well,
the stand is like three sections. So you have the whole back half of the stand is on its own, and then it's like 2/3 split. So the whole front half is split into 2/3. So because you have the cabinet door.
It's hard to
and
see.
the front. I mean, you can't really see, but
yeah. Well, anyway, so super, super awesome, man. Looks awesome, functional, allows its right height. It matches the whole room. All I had to do is send him a cabinet door, and he matched everything perfectly. This is my guy. I don't know.
You couldn't ask for a more level floor for this thing to sit on because shimming it is just not an option.
Yeah, so I had him do the tile, and I said, please, man, make it level because it really matters. And it was perfect. I wouldn't know where the shot we got lost it, but on both sides, it was perfect level. Made my day because I did not want to shim the whole thing. All right, so I think we're going to go on to the sump here. So I showed outside. Some of you might have seen this shot already.
There is that seam on the edge of the stand.
Is there a shot of that seam somewhere?
Maybe something up close.
Okay, well, just go along two over to the left. Yeah, there, grab this one. So along the side here, you'll notice this seam. Yeah, so it's like HDPE.
Yep.
So I told him, man, like no matter what, I need some kind of, I wish you could see it now. I've kind of gone out of, here, try the next video. So you can see the black trim around the outside of it. In person, it looks almost identical to the woodwork.
It's a dark brown, yeah.
Yeah, and what it's going to do is it's like a plastic, but so when water splashes on it, it's not going to ruin the finish. So I don't care what you say. Over 10 years, everybody's going to spill on it. Salt water's super corrosive. It will ruin the finish of almost anything on a long enough timeline. So we put what I'm going to call armored trim on there.
Yeah.
And it protects against splashes, which are inevitable. All right, so sump. All right. This is it, the dream box, right? So some of you saw this shot probably on Facebook or Instagram or whatnot.
We did a live sitting on top of this crate a while ago.
Yes.
We were talking about getting it in.
So what I was thinking about my tank and whatnot, and I went to, was it Reef Palooza, California?
Yeah, yep.
Saw it in person and said, it's called a dream box. It's my dream tank. How could you not want one of these things? I'm like, I don't know. So immediately I got on it, shipped from Germany, and I don't know.
It turned out
I gave him a little leeway, like, hey, just make it awesome.
Yeah.
These are the kind of dimension. These are the things I want in it, and they kind of.
It fits perfectly when we get to the shot of the closet room. Like it fits perfectly in that space next to the utility sink, all the way to right at the edge of the door almost. And you get a little bit of room here and there, but look at this thing.
Oh.
So you got that little space on the right and just enough little space on the left next to the utility sink, but
it's on the floor right now. We're building a stand for it, so don't worry about that. But yeah, you can see all of it here, the whole thing. And I think there's a couple of shots of like how it all disassembles together. So what's the next shot there? So the first thing is like the fleece roller. So, you know, a lot of you heard about roller mats and whatnot. This is just a giant roller mat.
Yeah.
And so it's got a big old roll, that fleece, like filter socks, except for on a roll. And then, of course, rolls itself up automatically. So
With the
it just
lid on
pulls
it,
all
too.
the turds and fish food and everything out of the tank. And I believe, I haven't got it working yet. I haven't plugged anything in, but that little timer there, I think, is how it works. So you just set it up
Set
to
the
roll up a
time.
little bit as
Yep.
often as you want, and you're good.
Two
You got it.
primary or three drains for the Herbie system.
Yep.
Two additional little drains, probably for some like recirculation or some kind of like manifold or whatever you want to use 2 extra drains for.
Yeah. So that's kind of the first part there, and then there is the section for
Some filtration type media stuff.
the media
skimmer.
reactor. Are we missing the skimmer shot? I think you must have missed a few shots here somewhere in the mix. All right, well, too bad.
Well, look at those molded lids that just came off of there. It's made specifically for this design, molded around the skimmer neck, molded around the reactor, double stack reactor, which is pretty cool.
And the manifold.
And a manifold. So it's ran by its own Red Dragon pump, the media. And then they have that outlet there for some manifold action.
All right. So there's also, you can see the Bubble King Royal Exclusive skimmer in there. I'll have to share some shots of that one later too. It's got the telescoping tube to raise and lower the water level in there, as well as the little wedge pipe and whatnot. And it just disassembles every last piece.
Every
clean
last
it
piece.
and run by the DC pump. So I think you're all are going to see exactly how that works. And what's the next shot here? Is that the return pumps in the next one? Which is this one? Oh, so by the way, yeah. All right, well, I think we got missing a couple of shots in here. But so there are a couple of people that helped me out bringing this tank in. So there's all 3 of those things. So there's 2 people that reached out to me, the local fish stores. Actually, and a maintenance company reached out and heard I was having problems with getting the tank in.
So now that we've gone over like the tank, the stand, and the sump, now we got to talk about getting it in your house. The story of last Thursday and getting it in, and it starts with people quitting on you.
Yeah, how do you get all this stuff into the house is a big deal.
Yeah.
All right, so the first thing I did is everybody told me you got a 1,200-pound thing. It's coming down ice. And the first thing was like call some piano movers and then like other people.
Well, because we were trying to get this thing in like January, February, because everything was here, and now it's when we want to keep this series rolling, so we didn't have such a big gap. And somebody told you that to take a crane over the top of your house.
Yeah, I mean like a giant. It would have to have been a mammoth crane.
Yeah.
So I called riggers, and these are the guys that you would want to call to do some super heavy lifting.
Yeah.
Do it safe, to do it professionally, and they wanted $4,000, man, to bring this thing in there. And for you guys, I'm like, fine. Just get it in. You know, like I mean, like about threw up.
Yeah.
But like I just like we got a video series, it's rolling along.
Yeah.
Just get it in. I was gonna pay you regardless.
Yeah.
And then the like COVID hit. Like the week they were gonna deliver and put it in.
Yeah, that's right.
I get a phone call. Says,
We
sorry,
can't do
do
it.
it. Maybe I'll call you in the future. Maybe you meant the F you. He never called me back. Like wouldn't do it. I don't know why they didn't want it, but the other rigger company didn't want it either. And it was probably because carrying a glass box down a hill
Liability.
is a nightmare.
Yeah.
You know, a 1,200-pound box.
Oh yeah.
So turns out if you really want to get a 1,200-pound box down, maybe you should talk to the people that do this for a living, which is actually the tank installers of the world.
LFSs.
Yeah, so the first one here reached out was, get the store there. There we go. So the guys and gals at New Wave Aquarium.
Yeah, Jen and crew.
So I love these people. If you come to Minneapolis, you got to go to their store for sure. Not only are they knowledgeable here, but they got the best stuff and the best environment, and they're trustworthy. So they reached out. But also the next people here is these Premier Aquariums. They do actually service.
Yeah.
Right? And this guy, the reason we actually ultimately went with him is because he not only was able to get it all delivered, but also like managed a whole bunch of other stuff for me, like getting the door out and all this other stuff. And actually,
Full
you know
service.
what? They just made it happen because it was going to stall out. As soon as I found out I couldn't get my door out of the wall and like all this stuff, it just like started stalling out again. And these guys just brought it home.
Said, no, we'll get a guy to do your door. We'll get a group of guys in a truck to get this thing to your house. Let's make it happen.
Boom. All right. So let's see that first shot here. Then bringing it in. So, that is not the first shot.
So I think this was showcasing the door had to go. So if you can kind of see back through the tank here, what you see is a frame that is no longer there and a sliding door that's no longer there. Because the way that they did your house was they put the door in the frame, and then some of that molding and some of the vinyl siding went over the top of the frame.
Yeah, and so for those of you who don't know, most sliding glass doors, you can remove the sliding one really easy.
Yeah.
And most of them, you can actually remove the fixed one, just like pulling out a couple of parts, a couple of screws.
Just lifting her up.
I thought for sure that mine would be that way.
Yeah.
It was not. It does not come out. I even called the manufacturer when I thought maybe we were just being dumb here. I don't know. And they said, nope, ours don't come out.
It just stays there.
All right, so we had to pull the whole door out of the wall.
Yeah, inside trim, outside trim, and siding, the whole nine. But I think it actually worked out because they kind of needed that space to get some of that extra tight side stuff.
It made it easier, for sure.
It was super easy.
We didn't have to turn the tank on its side and whatnot.
Yeah.
So they came and took the door out like the night before and then put a couple screws back in, but like got it really ready to go. And then the next day we took it out and so that we could get through this giant hole. But you can see the tank is like the size of this door already.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, pretty close anyway.
Just edge to edge.
Yeah. So yeah, that was the first challenge. So if you're thinking about doing a tank in your own house, start thinking about how you're going to get it in. If you're going to do something really big, you can either change the dimensions of this just a little bit, or you can just start thinking about how you're going to get in. And our challenge actually wasn't the tank, because we probably could have turned the tank on its side and got it through. I don't know if they could hold the stress of being turned sideways, but I'd had to talk to Felix about that one.
The stand, though.
The stand is too tall. So the stand was 30, I think 8 inches tall, and just isn't going to get through.
Not sideways or yeah.
So there was no way we were going to get through. I watched on Facebook like a bunch of people who said they took out their plate glass windows and just broke them to get the thing through. Yeah, and then they replaced the glass. And I'm like, wow. I mean, we got commitment, all of us. It's pretty amazing.
Well, that's not the only thing you had to remove either, because inside there was the trim that you had to remove.
So just think about all the things. I want the tank flush with the wall. Yeah. So you need to go ahead and remove all the trim. I don't know if we have a shot of that one here.
Probably go to that very first shot. That kind of highlights it a little bit. So down in the bottom where the tank butts up to the wall, that whole side of the wall trim had to go, cut, trim, put it back.
Yep.
And then there was that little tiny bit right there on the wall that's facing you on the left that also just hung over about like a half an inch or so. Yeah. Had to get trimmed that.
So you got to pull all the trim off, and then you got to recut it.
Yeah.
And so just there's a lot of like little teeny details you got to be prepared for. Also, the tile went in. Is there a shot of all the tile? There we go.
About the same.
Yeah, as you can see, we went in. This one I thought about ahead of time, and I had them pull the carpet up, and this meshes some tile that's in the room in a different place. But
I like how the tile comes. The carpet doesn't just end at the tank. It comes out into the room a little bit, and then all the way across.
I prefer it actually came out a little bit more. It just would have looked really weird. So there's a point where you just can't look so weird. That, I don't know. But now the carpet isn't going to get as wet, and it'll just be way easier to clean up any spills. I'll probably try to do a lot of the like wetter maintenance from the other side in case it does spill. But so the tile went in. Mistake, by the way, you'll see that doorway is actually where the tile stops. And so I wish it went underneath the threshold there. I should have just tiled the whole room in
Just
there.
went inside with it?
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't.
So it's still cement in the other room.
Yeah, now I got to find a different solution for the floor because I want to protect the cement.
Yeah, you did a poll on
foundation.
like Facebook where you were asking what people do for floors in the cement like that.
Yeah, that's coming up in a future episode here. So also, every last thing, man, the fence also had to be cut. So, we're trying to get this fence out. It's got 4 screws, but for whatever reason, man, you just can't get the thing out. It's supposed to slide back out, can't get it done. And so that's like the first problem of the day. Like, we thought you had everything solved.
Guys are laying the plywood to come around the side of the house.
So we ended up having to cut the fence too. So I think there's a little shot that like sawzall a chunk of the fence out so we can put it back in. Luckily, it still goes back together again. But once you get that done, this is how we get it down the house. So it came in there. There's all of it was in there.
So you called me in the morning and said, hey, the guys are coming with the truck. Let's get it into the back of the truck. So when we put the tank in there, there was a moment of question. And I'm thinking, all right, so tank will come out last. Stand will be in the middle, so it'll come out second. Sump will come out first. And then he's loading the tank in the back of the truck, sideways, long way. And there was a part of my brain that goes, I wonder if we should have put that in long way. And I wonder if they're going to have a hard time getting that out sideways at the site.
So it's a lift gate truck. Obviously, they're not going to lift out, with the crate, probably 1,700 pounds by hand.
Yeah, yeah.
And so there's two little ledges on the side, man, that go up, and we can't get it out. So we had to actually decrate it in there. And then pull it all out by hand, and then bring it onto the lift gate to bring it down. So not ideal to decrate it inside there because you actually want to leave it in the crate as long as possible. We would have preferred to leave it in the crate all the way down. You can see there, Randy looks like he broke it. He did.
Yeah, my hand over my face just looks like something was really
I don't know what happened
People
there,
called me out on Facebook for that one. So then we pulled the crate out from behind it, set it on the ground, put the tank back in the crate, and now we're ready to go down the hill.
Okay, so this is how you go down the hill here. It's on a pallet jack. So there's a lot of different things you could probably use, but every single person that I talked to, riggers included, said, we're going to put down plywood, and plywood's going to go all the way down, and we're going to use either a cart or a pallet jack to get it down the hill.
Look at that.
And I don't know if that looks steep or not, but it is steep.
It is. There's nine guys on this tank, and most of them were behind it.
All in my head, the whole time, all I'm thinking of is like, this is going to be a runaway tank going down
down into the lake.
Yeah, so like this is a runaway tank going down there, and it wasn't actually. They did a really, really good job. It wasn't even a big deal, like to get 9 people to stop it from just rolling down the hill. Yeah. So they rolled it down the hill with a pallet jack down all the wood, and basically when we got down to the house, we have to lift it using the little suction cups to get it over the threshold here.
Those suction cups are awesome. I mean, as heavy duty as those things are, I've always been skeptical of them, but got a little pumper on one end so it pumps all the air out, makes a tight suction, and then 6 guys can lift it up.
You got the next one here? All right. That one? The next shot? All right, so you can see you got it in, and now like they got it on dollies. And by the way, like just be prepared to break the dollies because dollies aren't meant for 1,200 pounds. So you can hear them cracking and whatever. But they're even using plywood inside the house to move it around, so you're not like scarring up your floors and whatnot. Yeah. And so one of the things you're going to note here is that the stand is actually going to go in first, and then the tank's going to come in. So we're putting that tank we're going to put the tank all the way in the back.
Yep.
We're going to bring the stand in, and then you're going to slide it in. And I think we have a shot of sliding it in. So this is also note that you put down like a 1/2 inch of foam.
Fiberglass foam type, sheeting type stuff.
I talked to both Chris and Felix. They both said it didn't matter whether or not it was styrofoam or this like fiberglass. Or I think it's not fiberglass, but like the insulation.
Insulation board. And you had first bought 4 or 6 sections of 1 inch. And then we were sitting there measuring and looking at the lip and wondering like, is that going to push the tank up a little too high? And it's actually a good thing you went and got a sheet of 1/2 inch foam insulation board because that end wound up turning there's a black seam on the bottom of the tank and it just lines up perfectly with the edge of the stand.
So make sure you get the right foam thickness for whatever you're using. They're probably, your manufacturer will probably tell you which one to get. But what that does, by the way, the foam just takes out any inconsistencies in the glass or stand and any like pressure points there may be, and just
soften, balance it
makes
up.
it nice and flat. So definitely something you're going to want to do. And so what we did is feed it from the back. And it's really important here. This is one of those things you don't know until you watch somebody else do it. But I assumed they were going to put the stand in place and then they were going to set the tank down. But you absolutely do not want to do that, because this is like
the slightest little off, one person off.
1,200 pounds, you set it down, all of a sudden you break off all of the trim. Right? So what they did here is use a hydraulic cart to kind of lift it up, and then they'll pump it up on this jack, and then come in and slide it in from the back. So that if you slide in from the back, you're way less likely to mess up all of the trim or break the wood or anything. So I think you'll probably see it here in just a minute. But yeah, I mean, you can tell there's like 8 guys here.
Yeah, it takes an army.
It does. I mean, it is hard work. You can see quite a few of them are sweating pretty good. I mean, it was hot that day.
It was hot. It was hot.
You'll see that in a second, actually.
So one's riding the jack up.
Yep. So they're just using a cart here, and you'll see the cart in just a second. And then those are those suction cups we were talking about earlier. You just pump them up a little bit, and all of a sudden they, hold on like
hundreds of pounds.
Almost. And there it is. Now those are slider pads, by the way. So he's got 2 little strips of these sliders that you kind of move your carpet around or stuff around your furniture.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Except for it comes in these strips.
Plastic bottom kind of deal.
And then we're going to slide it in place. So if this is the kind of thing you're going to do at home by yourself and your buddies, there's like a few of these tools you could probably rent from a moving store.
Tips to try. I wish, I did a 90-gallon cube in a custom stand where I had to come in from the back, and like some of this stuff would have been good to know back then, like sliders to get it in and fit it just right, and this little jacky type thing, because I had my stand about the same height, but.
Yeah. All right, there it is. So, I mean, that's so scary even as I watch it right now. Like pride and joy just moving through the sky like that. But yeah, so now you slide it in from the back. And in a minute here, you're going to see how they slide the actual whole stand into place, which is even
those
more
are cool.
incredible.
Yeah, those are really cool.
And this is all about right tool, right job as well. So
got to line it up.
There it
Start
is.
bringing it down.
We should have cut this clip up just a little bit, probably. Just make it a little bit faster to go. But yeah, so they're going to slide it right in, and then you'll see it all the way. And once it gets in place, you're just like, man, this goes together. And you can again see why actually these riggers, if I asked riggers to do this, they've never moved a glass box before, they wouldn't even really probably dawn on them.
You would have got the bulk of the stuff in the house, but the final touches, the nice, details like this, you wouldn't have got from them.
No, you definitely should talk to like a local installer or store that does these kinds of things in your area, because especially if you spent a good amount of money buying a tank.
Well, and these guys, it's great. It's great to talk to these guys because they're all hobbyists. They're all passionate about the hobby. Every one of them, and they're showing you their phone and the tanks that they maintain and their own tanks at home. And this is just exciting work for them. They just love to do this stuff.
Yeah. All right. So I think maybe we'll just skip over here. So. Okay, so
there we go.
There's little vacuum pads down there.
This was cool.
They're not vacuum, actually, air pads. So they just turned on that little switch.
2 on each side. And
like you can see they're no longer pushing very hard. They're just like elevates the thing up from that little vacuum that he's got on his back or blower.
Yep.
And then they can just slide the tank around like at will because we put these things down there.
If you put it on casters or something, you'd have to find a way to get them out. These are so slick and small, low profile. You could take a couple guys to just slightly lift up the stand and then pull the thing out.
Yeah, and it just slid right over the edge of the plywood even.
Look at
1-inch plywood went right over the edge of that as well.
Hoverboard technology.
Yeah, and so like I'm sure you can rent these types of things from a mover as well. you know, or...
I think this was one of the first times that they said they were using them before, and they were really happy with the way they worked out.
How would you not be?
Yeah,
I mean, like, look how effortless that was.
I think they're going to buy some for their shop after this, is what they were saying.
Yeah, so the tank is like now in place there, and so Randy made me take a couple shots here, so you can get the scope of how big it is.
Yeah, who hasn't installed a big tank or big enough for you to sit in, and you have to put the kids in, you got to put yourself in, you got to sit in your brand new tank. It's just the thing to do.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of like the whole journey here of like that day. You know, there was all kinds of different challenges that went into it. And I think like part of the reason that this stalled out for a while is there's so many moving parts to a tank like this big that you start thinking about, what am I going to do with the HVAC and the floors and the sump, and I got to take out my door, and I got to like tile, and I got to pull off the trim, and I got to do all these things. And before you know it, like the whole thing like just kind of collapses under its own weight. Now, if I had nothing else going on in my life,
you could have done it.
Done it all. Yeah. Except for I got a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old. I got another one coming. I got like all kinds of stuff going on in my life. I got BRS and writing videos all the time. Like, you know, there is not like an overwhelming amount of time to like plan how I'm going to take out doors, you know, and call everybody.
Especially if you try to do it in the approach like we've been, you know, a weekly or bi-weekly video type script where you're going to make a video about the tank, and then you made this progression, It just doesn't always work out that way. So taking your time actually worked out for the good.
Yeah, so I think that we're going to be able to get stuff done every single week now. Now that it's in place, I'm like, oh, this feels manageable.
Yeah, now the ball's rolling.
So like, I think that's kind of my big feedback for everybody else that's watching here is like, if you can just kind of get over that hurdle in the beginning and just get the tank in the house. Yeah. All right, well now I can start plugging away at the other pieces. You know, and I just don't have to worry about it. And some of it isn't going to be done perfect. Like my HVAC solution is not perfect, although I did have an HVAC guy come in and tell me that it was going to be okay.
Okay, not
I told
ideal,
my wife, I'm like,
but...
I'm pretty certain this will work. And he's like, yeah, I wouldn't redo the whole thing. I wouldn't do what you're talking about, so I'm okay with it. But like, you know, before I'm like, oh man, I'm going to tear out the ceiling and all this stuff, and like jackhammer up the floor, and like you get lost in all of that. And so just get the tank in place and start getting one foot in front of the other one, and you'll start to figure it out.
I mean, that first time that you take the piece of trim off of the bottom of the wall, and you're like, starting to, here it is, here we're happening. So you kind of just get those little ball rolling steps, and next thing you know, tank's in, and now the real work starts.
And now my garage is full of like stand equipment for the sump, and like I got all kinds of sheets of plywood and everything. I'm ready to go now, man. Like,
only weeks away from filling it up with water.
Yeah, I think I got a sink I want to install. I can go with a little slop sink that's in there, but I got a little better idea. I think I want to put in. So all kinds of different things are coming. So that is what you should expect to see in the future weeks here. Maybe we can answer some questions here, maybe, if you see any.
Yeah, there's a few in here. Let's see. Corey wants to know how much weight can those pull-out straps hold? Pull-out steps. Pull-out steps for your stand.
I don't know.
It supports you?
I mean, I hate to tell you this, but I'm 205 pounds, and I had no problem. Like it doesn't feel flimsy at all.
Yeah.
So
well, and the way he has them built too is there's rubber stoppers on the bottom feet. So whether it slops out this way or slops out that way, there's rubber feet down on there, and it's super stable. It's even because the ground is flat and level. The stairs are flat and level, so you don't have this weird weight distribution type thing going on. And it's made out of it's like a plasticky type material. It's not really wood, but it's got like the finish, or it is like a plastic type thing. So
those are made for a kitchen, by the way. They're not like something that
it's Chris just dreamed up. This exists in the world.
This exists in the world for kitchens, and designed to carry a person's weight. And so if you're interested, Chris Benner, again at Benner's Woodworking or Sticks and Stones, he can sell you just the stairs if you're looking for it, if you can figure out how to do your own woodworking. But you can also obviously do the stand. And I will tell you it's not cheap. But you can get the stairs on your own. But they're designed to carry a human weight, obviously, and they're not just whooped up. So it's a commercial product.
Yeah. Mario's asked, are you going to use auto water change system?
I mean, I don't know how I wouldn't. So like the room isn't big enough for the water, so you're gonna have to see how I end up getting water from back and forth from different areas. But the room isn't big enough. Like if I want to mix up a month's worth of water changes, like, I mean I have to have 100-gallon bin for sure. I'm probably gonna go bigger than that. I'd really like to get 160, so I can just dump one bucket in and be done.
Yeah.
And just use it to the bottom, and know that I got all my salt. And it may have to be a little bit bigger than that, depending on the bucket size you use. But
that closet, the fish room is just small, too small for a big round Norwesco plastic bin.
Yeah, I was trying to think about how you could put it in the ceiling or whatever, but I got better ideas. So yeah, I almost certainly will do out of water change, and you'll see how that unfolds in different scenarios. Because like a lot of you can't put it in the same room as a tank, or in my case, I can't even put it in the fish room behind the tank. I have to figure something else out.
Yeah. What was that? Dopey's Corner. He wants to know: will you have a build thread on Reef to Reef? He's got. You have your Facebook page, and that's probably where most of your effort's going to go.
I would love to do the build thread on Reef to Reef. The problem with it is I don't have the time to keep up with it.
Well, if you did your Reef to Reef and your Facebook and these lives,
it just gets too much.
Yeah.
And so I'd love to do that, and I'll rethink it one last time. But probably not, because I don't want to just have it like be crickets from me in there. So I will maintain, just find Ryan Batchelor. I have a page I created.
BRStv guy, so Facebook/BRStv guy. I will leave a link in the description here when this is uploaded. But
So if you follow me, you can follow every last little nitty gritty component of it, from every fish that we select to like whatever it is.
Yeah.
So go ahead and follow me, and you'll see it all there. That's probably going to be the best place to see, the thread of how it goes together.
Behind the scenes updates when you're just sitting there in your basement and just kind of looking at stuff.
Not only that, but you also get to see all the nerdy things that we're into here. So all the experiments and stuff that we're doing, and like it's the best place to see little short tank updates, so you can see how the E170 is doing instead of like a whole produced YouTube thing, which is much harder to do. That's where you get to see like the monthly updates in between the 9-month updates.
Yeah.
So I share them a lot on #AskBRStv too, but like I don't want to overwhelm the environment with all my stuff. So only the best stuff makes it so whatever. So yeah, you can follow me there, and that's probably the best place to see it.
Sweet. Don asks, how long until you get some water in it?
So next week, I think the Aquascape is showing up.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And so we're going to get the Aquascape in there. And then the week after that, Jeremy from Brightwell is coming out.
I
don't know what it is, but he loves plumbing. And plumbing actually one of my favorite parts too. Like I really like making it look nice. And so, and like really thinking about a future part. I don't know. There's something that's like the construction of it, like the same thing that me that loves Legos. Also loves plumbing. I don't know what it is. So he's actually going to fly out for that, and we'll incorporate a whole bunch of other stuff into that. So once the plumbing's in, I want to get water in it, and the Aquascape in there. I want to get water in it. I don't know when I'll put the lights and stuff on it. Like I'm just not in a hurry. I am hurry to get water in it. Get water going through it, and then hopefully get some fish in it, and just enjoy the fish for a little while. Like we go through all the other episodes and get everything else ready to go. And by the time we're done with that, it'll be ready for corals and stuff. So so I'd like to tell you that there's water in this thing inside of like maybe 3 or 4 more of these updates.
Let's take a look at Ryan Lewis's. He says, is the stand over a crawl space or basement? How do you support the floor? It is in the basement.
Yeah, it's in the basement. So
on the foundation. Yeah,
I would tell you in general, I don't like putting tanks in the basement just because a lot of places I don't spend time in the basement. In this case, we spend a lot of time down there just because there's like a
big walkout to your backyard.
Yeah, I walk out of my backyard. My kid loves playing Yoshi down there. And, I don't know. It's like it's a nice environment. My desk is down there, so I actually use it. But yeah, I mean that's the easiest place, obviously, to put a tank. I don't even know how many pounds the whole thing would be,
especially with water.
I could probably do the math later, but yeah, I mean you're thousands of pounds. So yeah, it's right on the concrete. All right.
Quick question: what's the tank? What's the size of the tank behind him? It's the 52 weeks of reefing, 160 gallon tank.
Yeah.
6
so
footer.
that I mean, hopefully you've watched that 1 or 2 of those episodes by now.
Alfred asks, will you be running AC in the fish room for temp and humidity control?
So in that fish room, I don't think I'm going to need humidity control. Oh, I know I'm not going to need it, but for a couple of reasons.
Right.
But one of them is that I don't think I'm going to need it because there's lids on all of the sump chambers. So my history tells me that as long as it's covered, there's very little humidity. Also, there'll be some HVAC going through there. There is a vent in there for, air, so it forces it out.
Circulate and stuff.
I just don't think there's going to be that problem. And for temperature, I don't think there's going to be the same problem either, because the cold air returns are going to come through there. So I don't think you're going to have those problems. When I get to the HVAC thing, you'll probably see, I'm going to talk about what the concerns were and what our solutions were for that.
Yeah. Last one here. Will you roughly follow the BRS WWC cycle?
Oh, the 4 months cycle.
4 month type thing. Lights on at 2.5, 3 months, fish.
Yeah, roughly, yeah. Well, it's so funny, man, because for me, I'm just obviously not in a hurry anymore.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
And my wife, though, is like, when are we getting fish? When are we getting fish? When are we getting fish? So, it's a totally different thing. And my son is like, why no water, Dad? No water, Dad. Why no water? So, I mean, there could be a little bit of pressure there. But yeah, I mean, roughly, probably that cycle. I mean, like you just said, I mean, the cycle, I don't like to think of it in terms of, like, I need to do
4
X,
months,
Y, Z
3
steps.
months. Yeah.
And I'm actually learning from all of these episodes. You're going to see this in this series. Is like, there's the Zeovit method, the WWC hybrid method, there's the ULM methods, Triton method. And over the years now, what I've learned is some of these pieces of all of these speak to me in ways that some of them don't. And so what you're going to see from me is pieces of it more loosely put together based on the things that had just worked for me in the past. And again, this is my own tank in my own house. My friends are going to see it. My family's going to see it. My neighbors are going to see it. Everybody's going to ask me why it looks like crap, if it looks like crap, or why it's not growing, blah, blah, blah. You guys are going to see it. And so, a tank in my own home, I'm just going to do what I personally think is best for my own tank and make my own decisions based on what works in my lifestyle and my house. And I mean,
it's your own belief, what works in reefing and your approach to it.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking lighting, sand,
the whole
all these things, man. You can debate them all day long, but in the end, I was just sitting there staring at a bunch of tanks 3 days ago, and just thinking about all of this stuff, and man, there are some things here that of all the tanks that we have set up, this thing always works.
Every time.
Why wouldn't I use that?
Yeah.
Right? I don't need to stick to some specific method, or whatever. If this thing always works, I haven't had one fail that does this, I'm doing it.
Pluck that out of that method, and then pluck what always works out of this method, and pluck, little pieces.
In reality, man, I'd be stupid not to. And I just don't. I am going to do what I think is best, and you guys are going to hear it.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you have been waiting around wondering what would Ryan do in his own tank, but you're about to find out. So I think that'll be really exciting. All right, so I think that wraps it up.
Yeah.
So next week, I think this is a couple of things you're going to see is. Maybe my sink solution. I don't know. Definitely going to hear about some of the HVAC solutions that we talked about, and the air and humidity in that room. I'm going to figure out a stand for the sump that's going to be in there.
So we're working in the fish room next week.
Yeah.
More or less.
There's going to be hopefully a floor. There's a whole bunch of talk about epoxy floor, all kinds of different things. So you can see the solution that I came up with that most likely. I'm waiting on Home Depot a little bit on a couple of things, so we'll see how that all comes together. But each week, I think you're going to see some of this stuff, and we'll share. If you want to, again, follow my Facebook page, I think BRStv guy was the thing.
Yep,
or Ryan Bachelor,
it's in the description, and it's in the comments here from BRS. So.
All right, well, thank you for being so patient. Hopefully this journey will be super fun for everybody to watch, and we'll see you next week.